So why aren't guys coachable? Men, you're never going to experience the benefit of coaching if you always think you know everything.
Welcome to the Step Up Podcast, where our goal is to help you step up in every area of your life. I'm your host, Josh Thomas, and I'm joined by my pastor, Chris Kuba.
Have you ever coached before?
I coached the mighty team of 6-year-olds once for like a volunteer service thing with my buddy when I was in high school.
Is that like was it enjoyable? You played high school, so
So I played.
you knew what you were doing.
Yeah, it was fun, but no matter how much strategy, no matter how many plays you put in front of 6-year-olds, as soon as the ball drops on the field, it's like everyone running after the ball. So because I didn't take it too seriously, I was able to laugh about like a bunch of it because we'd like be like, all right, team, we're gonna do this. And they would just go do something completely opposite.
And I know that feeling. So
what about you?
I've had a couple. I mean, I've coached my kids their whole lives. And so there's definitely been positive experiences. There's been some pretty negative ones. One of my worst ones ever was I had a situation to where I was coaching my son's 4-year-old soccer team, which don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't sign your kid up at 4. It doesn't matter. It's not going to start a college career. It's just horrible. And it was one of those deals where we signed him up to play. That was our first mistake. Second mistake is then they sent out the email that basically is like, hey, we're going to have to shut down the teams. We're not going to have a league. If we don't get enough dads that are going to step up. You don't have to know anything about, and I don't know anything about soccer, right? So I literally watched YouTube videos in my car in the parking lot before I walk out there. And I go out there and I mean, it's just everybody's just around the ball. There's no strategy. The practice schedule was clearly not right. But in addition, my son decided he didn't want to play. And of course, I'm just like, you're absolutely going to play, you know? And so I would stick him out there and he would just stand there. First game ever. We started the season. I put him out there and I put him on the field and there's a picture of him facing the sideline with his arms crossed, not even looking at me. And so here I am. These parents are looking at me like, you didn't get your own son. So it's true. It was just one of those like,
oh man.
And the problem was, it early on.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a coach of a team and you know your team's going to be bad, like that's hard, man.
Yeah. You just gotta stick it out with them.
I've coached a lot of basketball and we've been beat by 35 and it's halftime. And we're like, I don't even know what to say, guys.
They're just better.
It's not our day. Let's just try to figure out how we can cut the lead down a little bit.
And keep
all that
moving.
kind of stuff, right? There's no question about it. Now, I've also had seasons, though, where I've coached and, we won it. We won the whole thing. And, man, it's just the best.
I bet it feels amazing.
In the world. There's no question about it. It just, the exhilaration and the idea of being a coach is incredible. We talked about this last time, though.
Yeah, we talked about it.
This is one of those areas, though, that everybody does it except for they know that feeling of having defeat and having the coach there so with you at least, but then also the times of winning. But then when it comes to spiritual stuff, too many guys kind of wing it. You and I have talked about this, and of course we know that we got good feedback even on the first episode of just thinking through. Shockingly, though, how many guys don't have one?
Yeah. They just don't have a coach.
This is an area that I think maybe they desire, but they haven't necessarily transitioned to actually being able to experience.
Yeah, the moving and the asking piece of it. It's taking the intentional steps to actually get a coach in your life.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we one of our core values here at United City is everyone has a next step, because we say that because no one has arrived.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is ever something as well that you graduate a need for.
Yeah.
Is everybody needs that coach. Who's helping you grow in your prayer life? Who's helping you grow in your devotions? Who's helping you grow in your parenting? Who's helping you grow in your marriage or your relationship? What I found is that growth often feels harder before it gets better.
Yeah, it's true.
I think through NBA playoffs run right now, and you can totally see teams trying to take the next step.
Yeah.
And move forward. And they're almost always had an early, our Rockets, they had an early exit this year, despite being really, really good. But I'm convinced that adversity, that challenge, that difficulty is a lot of times the very fuel that gets to be used to kind of allow them to achieve great things. So we've got to understand having a coach doesn't just mean up and to the right.
Yeah.
A lot of times it could be, hey, we're going to break down some of these things and some bad habits that you've built that you've been able to get away with, but you've been capped to this level. Yeah. And we're actually going to take you back down so that we can rebuild you back up.
We're finishing up. So I'm a baseball guy, so we just finished up SEC tournament.
Yes.
My boys are Oxford's actually hosting a regional. Can you believe that?
Okay.
And so it starts on Friday. So
if you win enough, then you get. That's how it works.
Yeah. So So they're
seeds,
they're hosting a regional. I think it's like 8 SEC teams or something like that hosting regionals. Like it's insane. But the boys have done really well. But they had a massive collision in their last game.
It was bad.
It was bad. I don't know if you saw it. It was real bad.
Real bad.
And I think Coach B, and so I think Coach B is kind of looking at that going, okay, I think we've got great potential in the playoff season because I think the boys are hot right now for sure. Yeah. But I think he's looking at that going, okay, but if we don't get that kind of stuff figured out now, it's going to bite us real bad when we get to some of these regionals, some of these games. And so, just continuing to grow for sure.
Yeah, the key thing, I think, in order for a team, though, to go through that adversity and make it past the next step is they've got to have humility. I want to read a couple verses to you that are so key. Proverbs 11, verse 2, when pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with the humble is wisdom. Men, you're never going to experience the benefit of coaching if you always think you know everything. So I'm just telling you, you don't know everything.
Yeah.
You have got to be at a place where you're like, man, I need some help in this area. And I don't just need some help like I just hope to do better, but I'm never going to actually take any steps to do better. But I need to improve in this area. I noticed this in your life. Can you help me in this specific thing?
Yeah.
Proverbs chapter 29, verse 23, one's pride will bring him low, but he who is lowly in spirit will obtain honor. Man, I want to experience honor.
Yeah.
I want that to be the case in my life. But the way you do it is being lowly in spirit. Notice what it says there. One's pride will bring him low.
Yeah.
You're going to be brought low no matter what.
Yeah. It's happening regardless.
You either are choosing to do it
or you're
going to be, it's going to be forced upon you. And, what I've found is that the times whenever I have willingly done that, God tends to bring honor to that.
Yeah.
He's going to bring the right people. He's going to bring the right situation if I put myself in a position like that. Romans 12:3, for by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think with sober judgment, each according to the measure of faith that God has assigned. Let's just think about this. Why aren't guys coachable? I wrote down a few things. Number one, they blame the coach. You ever had that?
Oh, yeah.
How many times have you seen that be the case where you've got people along the way that will, well, I mean, our coaching just stinks, you know, like he's not playing me and he's not doing this. And I mean, we've dealt with some of that even at our own house where, you know, all of a sudden, you know, they were a star and then they're kind of not playing as much and they're not getting as much playing time.
And it's like it's the coach's fault.
Well, is it?
No, it's not.
Or maybe they're better. Yeah. When you're in, you got to make sure to maximize your time. And look, there's no question there's bad coaches. Yeah. We're not trying to say that's not the case. Yeah. But I think that you will never be coachable if you always blame the coach.
Yeah. You've got to take, you tell us all the time, just as a staff, like, you know, I'm not responsible for making sure that you grow. Yeah. I'm not responsible for making sure that you're not necessarily developed, but like you got to take some initiative in your own leadership development, you know, because at the end of the day, it's you. Like you got to seek this out. You got to take some intentional steps toward it. So absolutely.
We provide plenty of opportunities. You got to take the bait.
Yes.
Yeah. You got to be able to go and you got to be able to go and do it for yourself and be able to move that forward. But I'm just telling you, if that's the case, guys, that, you know, what I found is that guys who are always blaming everybody else, which by the way, it's all the way back to Adam in the garden. What happened? Adam was watching his wife.
Super passive.
And did not do what he was supposed to do. And the main job he was supposed to do was to take care and to cultivate and to watch over and to have dominion over his wife and over his family. He watched the thing go down. And then all of a sudden, the God comes and he begins to call accounts. And what does he say?
He immediately defers.
Hey, that woman you gave me.
He immediately defers.
She's the one. Right? And so I think at the end of the day, this goes all the way back to the beginning. But please know, in order for you to be coachable, in order for you to be someone who receives it and grows from it and experiences the honor we talked about, you can't blame the coach. Another reason why guys aren't coachable is number two, they blame circumstances. How many times have you heard this, man? And I feel this. Oh, if I just had better resources, then we could do this.
Yeah.
You go and you're looking on social media and you look at somebody else's situation. You look at somebody else's.
If only I had better blame.
Their deal. If I only had better facilities. If I only had more money. If I only had better team. Like blah, 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 blah. But you're perfectly designed to achieve the results you're achieving, right? And God's given you what he wants you to be able to do. He's either sovereign or he's not.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times we can live in this mentality where it's just poor, pitiful me instead of like, no. How can you get the most out of what you've got?
Yeah.
Because what I've typically found is that people are way more resourced than they realize. And if they just would open themselves up to be able to say, hey, how can I maximize this? How can we do this better? What is the waste that needs to be eliminated in this situation? And how can I move forward?
What is it? It's not that we have an income problem. It's that we have an expense problem. We just don't know how to use what we got.
Sure.
It's just we're not stewarding what we got. And
that's not just in finances.
Yeah.
I think that's in every area, right? That's
everything.
That's in all the different things that we do. Mark Kiefer, I mentioned him last episode. He was kind of a mentor and coach of mine. He used to say this, hey, your worst boss can be your best boss. He used to encourage me with this. He's like, if you've got a bad boss, if you got a bad situation, then what you need to do is you need to write down, if I was in charge, I would, and if I was in charge, I would not, and write it down.
I've experienced that.
And not from me, right?
Not from here. Not from here. Sure. Pretty awkward. No, not from here.
But there's no question you can use those opportunities even under bad leadership to be able to grow and to get better in the midst of it. But you have to have a mentality that says, how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can I not? Because what I've found as well is that you tend to replicate what you've seen, even if it's bad. And so therefore, being intentional to learn from it can allow you to let this be, man, this was not, I would not have called him a good coach. I would not even called him a coach I would prefer to ever be under again. But I would say this, man, I learned a lot. Maybe I learned a lot what not to do, but I did learn a lot because I was thinking in that direction.
But you still learned.
Yes.
Because your bend was to learn. Your bend was to grow. So absolutely.
What would you say, what keeps you from being coachable when you think about times when you've not been as on top of it as maybe you should have?
Put me out there, huh?
Yeah.
I would say for me, it's my pride.
Yeah.
Like I don't like when people tell me what my blind spots are.
Yeah.
You know, for some reason, when somebody tells me like, hey, you do this really well, but you don't do this really well, I just make excuses. I'm like, oh, well, it was this, or it was this. And I never just go, you're right. You know, but that for me, that's usually what keeps me from being coachable is like, well, if you only knew the full story. And he's like, no, I know the full story. Yeah, he's like, I know the full story, and I'm telling you what I see. So, so I would say for me, what about you?
It's no question about it. I blame. Well, if this would have happened differently, if this this situation or these circumstances, or the budget was bigger, whatever, all the various things, that's my total default instead of just trying to figure out, okay, but this is the reality. What do I got to do? How do I get past it? I would rather wallow in what I don't have rather than maximize what I do have.
In those moments, though, what have you done? Like, where do you turn? Where do you go?
I think for me, it has to be a prayer piece to it. I don't want to get like weird spiritual. On the other hand, like, man, it's like therapeutic a little bit because like one of the benefits I do is I do a day one journal and I digitally write something every single day. And I get to recount, this is what I'm working through, this is what I'm thinking about, this is what I'm going to pray for.
Yeah.
I reflect on a scripture or something like that. I've talked about this in a previous episode. But it has a feature on there that to me is worth the journal by itself. It's worth, I think, $30 a year. I got to pay for the annual whatever.
Of course.
It does on this day. And it lets me look back and see what happened on this day, the same day, the year before, or whatever, however many years I've written.
Yeah.
And so for me, it helps remind me when I'm in a place of feeling like I don't have this, I don't have this, or I wish I had this, or I wish I had whatever, to then look back and see maybe a prayer request over something that I have completely forgotten about.
Yeah, we talked about it, last episode? Everybody needs a remember when moment.
Yes,
and it's even as if like the phone has a built-in remember when with the on this day, you know, and when it's not the phone, it's obviously a coach, right? The perspective of a coach is just able to come in. I know for me, I blame too, and early on, I'd be like, oh, Ty, like this, if I just had this and this and this. And he would go, Josh, you just need to recognize. And then he would just kind of set the record straight. And I needed that at the time, you know, because you do need that. You kind of need somebody to go, hey, it's okay to feel what you're feeling, but let me bring you back to truth for just a moment. And so you realize it. And so how does this apply to our spiritual life, though?
Well, the key, I think, is you got to find that coach. Right. And I think that's where maybe some of these guys are listening to this and they're like, hey, I'm in on this. Like, I'm for it. I'm good. I want to do it. How?
Yeah.
Like, how do you practically do that? Let me just walk you through a couple of things to think through about how to actually get into that place. One, let me just say this. You may not be as eloquent or skilled as your coach, but you can pass down what you've learned. So one of the things I tell you, if you're talking about this idea, one, just start coaching somebody else.
Yeah.
And when I say coach, don't probably use this language. Don't be weird. Hey, I want to coach you,
Yeah.
Because like, I didn't ask for that, But on the other hand, like if you see something in somebody else, if you got a staff member, if you've got somebody on your team, like pour into them and try to figure out ways that you can see the good in them that they haven't seen.
Yeah.
And then win permission to be able to also point out, hey, here's some things I'd love for you to be able to work on, right? And so I think that we have this mentality. It's like, well, I can't teach anybody else. Like I can't coach my kid in spiritual things because I don't know enough.
Yeah.
Well, you got to know a little bit more than them.
Yeah. What is it? Everybody needs somebody that they're following, everybody that they're leading alongside, and then somebody that they're leading, right? And so you've got the person that you're following after, the person kind of peer-to-peer discipleship.
Sure.
And then somebody that you're bringing up, behind that's going like, hey, I'm reaching down or reaching back and I'm pulling you to where I'm going.
And it could be family. It could be, that's the thing, especially if you're a dad and you got kids, that's for sure something that could be the case. I would tell you, in fact, you should focus on mentoring and coaching your kids.
Yeah.
I have found that it's easy for me to navigate towards coaching basketball or soccer or baseball, whatever, tennis, whatever it is that they're maybe doing. It doesn't feel as natural to me from a spiritual standpoint, at least initially. What I've discovered is in the same way that I used to watch YouTube videos about how to coach 4-year-olds in the car and then walk out there and do it. It wasn't like I had like just tons of knowledge.
Yeah.
What I did have is like I had a heart for those kids that wanted to go do it. And so therefore I was able to figure it out. The same thing is true spiritually.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to walk through there and give this just eloquent, unbelievable, well-written, well-versed, speech to your kid about spiritual things.
Yeah.
But you can walk with the Lord on a daily basis, and you can have a conversation with them about them walking with the Lord as well.
I mean, you mentioned it in the last episode about the idea that whenever we sit with some of these guys or the high-level execs, we think there's these special gifts that they have. And it's really just, it's a long obedience in the same direction. I got a buddy over in Waco, Drew Humphrey, big on prayer. And he's like, my kids know that every morning when they wake up, Dad's going to give him a kiss, and then Dad goes downstairs, and Dad's at his chair reading his Bible.
Yeah.
He's like, and my kids see that, and they know that. So much so that, like, when they wake up now, they want to go sit with Dad and open up their Bible, and they just sit there with Dad, and they know, hey, Dad's not going to talk to me, but I'm with Dad, I'm reading my Bible. And so it's just exposing it, right? And so just being visible. So
let me give you a couple of resources, practical things you can think through. Something like the Primal Path is something I've been doing with my boys. I cannot more highly recommend it. Love it. John Tyson is the author of it. If you are interested, contact the church. We can talk you through. We've got some church licensing stuff for it. Man, it is just absolute gold. I've just found the discussions that I've been able to have with my boys have been at a next level. I'm naturally going to talk to them about girls. I'm naturally going to talk to them about porn.
Yeah.
But I'm not naturally going to talk to them about some of the character things unless it's a reactive way. This has provided me a platform where I can begin to have some conversations. It takes me about 7 to 10 minutes every single day during the week. It's got some events and some things that you can do along the way.
It's been fun watching you walk alongside that with them. I know it was really fun for me just getting to be a part of, I think it was Griffin's, if I'm not mistaken, the encouraging letter I got to write to Griffin.
Yep. Took an initiation trip. In fact, I talked about that on second, I think it was second episode of
it was
last season.
It was really cool just kind of seeing that, to have a hand in his kind of launch into manhood. So
there's for younger families, younger kids, there's something called Habits of the Household by Justin Whitney Earley. And it's a great resource. I think that also it just provides you some help that you can kind of be able to offer that coaching up to your kids. So that's for sure things. Let's talk about how to be coached. Okay. I would tell you to seek mentors, seek coaching for specific areas. So parenting wise, okay, go find someone who you like. I like how they parent. I like how their kids, they seem to not have the wheels fall off like everybody else does. Okay.
Yeah.
What is it? Hey,
what do you do?
Can I just hang with you?
Yep. That's what it is.
You're like, well, how do I go seek that?
Yep.
Hey, can I just go take y'all to dinner and just ask you some questions? Can I just, is there an event that you guys are going to go out to a game that I could just come and be with y'all and I just want to learn. I just want to observe. I just want to watch.
Yep.
I'm just telling you that alone can open up the doors. And so you're not, I would like for you to mentor me to go do that. Don't do that. Don't be weird. Don't be weird. Don't be weird. Just be normal. Let's just talk about spiritual growth. Let's say life groups are a big thing. Groups are a big ministry. I would tell you, be in a group and then figure out if there's somebody that you're like, man, I just really love your insights. Can I just take you to lunch? Man, tell me a little bit about your story.
Yeah.
Tell me what makes you tick. Tell me what you're super passionate about. What is it that you love doing right now? Those types of things are going to open up some doors to where then, hey, can I ask you to do this maybe every couple of weeks or something like that? Would that be a problem?
Yep.
And be willing to do that. And I've not found it to be super hard. I've tried to find sometimes whenever I'm trying to over-script it or over-match it, it feels forced.
Yeah.
It's more of, I see something in you. Could I have learned that?
It's pretty, it's complimentary when guys are like, hey, I just want to do what you do. I mean, Nate Innett is one of the guys I think about. Nate kind of saw me early on and he approached me and was like, hey, Josh, can we just go to coffee? I just want to ask you about stuff. And like now he's interning for the church and like this whole thing. And so much of it has just been me just like hanging with Nate. I'm like, like for a season we did the sit down coffee situation, but now it was more like, hey, just come over to the house and just watch Lily and I interact. Hey, come, let's go to the pickleball court and watch me get frustrated with myself because I couldn't get over there or something like that. Really just kind of learning when you do life together. And so I absolutely see the value in it.
I think some of my mentors that I've really learned the most from is the ones when I realized like, oh wait, you're normal.
Yeah.
I've seen you in settings outside of being on.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think it's bad to have the formality and the meetings and whatever else. I'm not saying those things are necessary or bad. I think those things can be really, really good. We've talked about this before in previous episode. I think though you need guys that you can be accountable with, not necessarily accountable to.
Yeah.
I just think you can lie your teeth to people and be like whenever you're doing the checklist.
Yeah.
But instead, I want guys that are running hard after the Lord that I can kind of be near. But I also want coaches that I've just seen have been able to do it.
Yeah.
I think too often, the 22-year-old who's been married for a year and he's writing the book on marriage type deal. There's like, just too many guys with the podcast that don't have a lot of skin in the game, kind of a thing. I instead want to figure out how I can get around guys that just have longevity.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's what I want this season.
Eric Smith, faithful guy in the church. I've talked about him a few times. Eric is mentoring me kind of in this season. And Saturday.
How did that come about though? Let's talk through that.
Yeah. So Eric and his family moved here a few years ago, and he actually met with Jeremy first. Our group's pastor met with Jeremy, but just had a heart for young adults, and that was it. And so Jeremy was like, man, he'd be great for you to just kind of reach out to and ask if he wanted to lead a life group for young adults. I said, all right. Well, I called him, and as this is great. As I'm talking through this with Eric, and he's telling me about his passion and what he wants. Like, man, I just want to help those that just graduated, that are kind of in the early 20s, kind of mid to late 20s. I'm just trying to help them figure out life and process things. Me and my wife were in Dallas for a season, and we did that, and we had to figure out how to navigate that before kids, all this stuff. And I'm listening to it, and it's almost like I'm self-diagnosing myself.
That's me.
I'm like, oh, that's the prime candidate. So it's really funny because we talked about this on Saturday, because it's coming up on about a year that we've been in a relationship, and it was funny, and like, because Eric was going like, this is what I can do for your group, like this is what I can do for your team, and I was like, well, what would it look like if you did that for me?
Yeah.
And I didn't know this, but Eric was like, Josh, that took me back because I wasn't expecting you to ask me that. And so when the first time we met, he was like, what do you want this to look like? And I was like, Eric, I just know that there are things that I don't know. And I know that there are things that I don't know. And so I just want to do life with you. And sure enough, this past week, he was working on cars. I basically spent the whole day with him. He's a phenomenal car mechanic when he's not working. And he changed some, I don't even know, the device in Lily's air conditioning something, but it works now. So she has cool air. But literally, he was under the hood, and we were just talking about life. And I think it's in those moments that I've just learned there's nothing, and you get what I mean. It's just normal. It was a normal Saturday, washing cars, changing oil, and that was it.
Yeah.
But I learned so much from just being around him, that proximity and longevity thing we talk about. So for sure.
Yep. No question about it.
Yeah.
I just encourage you, seek someone that you can pour into, you can be a coach to.
Yeah.
But I think also too, who are those spiritually mature men? I would say this isn't, again, we've talked about it before, you don't graduate from this. So I think figure out ways to get around older guys. I talked to a guy this past week that is a good friend, and he was at a table, a Titus 10 table when we did that here, the study at our church, and he was with Merle Aaron, and he's like, man, I just want to get coffee with that guy. And I'm like, that's the exact kind of person you need to get coffee with. They're not even in the same industries. They're not in the same whatever. He just could see, I want to eat the crumbs from that man's table.
That's awesome.
I just want to be able to be near him. And so it's pretty neat whenever you begin to see it. There's a guy right now that I poured into for about a year. We did it in a little more formal relationship, although he's become just such a great personal friend. And I had a guy that I'd heard about in our church that was kind of a business guy, and he's been doing the whole rat race thing and all of that. And he just kind of said, is there anybody that you know that's a business owner, small business owner, that I could meet with to just kind of figure out how to do this in a godly way? Huh. And I'm like, oh, you need to get Mike Wimberly. Yeah. Well, I know that for one, because I've been over a year with Mike Wimberly. Yeah. Just every single week. We were talking nonstop, throughout the week, but like, we would intentionally get together for a while.
You know that.
But also, too, just because I was able to see Mike develop the way that he was, and now I was like, you need to get with Mike. Well, man, you should have heard when Mike called me and was like, dude, I had my first meeting, and it was just great. And just
amazing.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And here's what I would simply tell you. I had an opportunity to get in with this guy. I didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
But I poured into Mike, and Mike got to pour into him, and I got to experience the victories and all of that. I don't tell you that to say anything good about me as much as I do tell you, I'm just telling you there's nothing greater.
Yeah.
There's nothing more satisfying than being able to see the life that comes along with that. I would also just tell you the times whenever I put myself in a position and experience that coaching and whatever else, there's just nothing that's more fulfilling ever whenever I get to be coached. So I guess the question ultimately would be, who are you coaching?
Yep.
And then the other question would simply be, who is coaching you? What's that area that you need help on, and how can you do this and get better at it?
Everybody needs a coach, especially in the spiritual realm. It pays out crazy dividends, right? It's discipleship is essentially what it is. And so, but this was good. It was really, really good. Hopefully we gave you guys some really practical takeaways that you can do. Hey, encourage listeners that are listening on with you to share this with somebody that needs a coach
in their life. Send it to your coach, or send it to somebody you want to coach.
Of course, absolutely, because this is some good stuff. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to the Step Up Podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe, and share this episode to help us get the word out. We would love to hear from you. So please leave us a comment and even leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast. For additional information or to reach out directly, please visit chriskuba.com. That's chriskuba.com. You can also follow Pastor Chris on social media and just search Chris Kuba. Kuba is Kouba. You can also follow United City Church on all socials at United City Church. That's going to be UNTD City Church. Thanks so much.